in painting since I was 6 or 7 years old. As I mentioned with the children who work with the RE, it's the same thing. You learn as a child and you become more dexterous with your body as you grow older. And when you learn when you're older, it is harder. So I told him that's how I managed the skill and the dexterity to paint this 5-yard sari in 15 minutes, if that's what it took. But it made me realize that if I, an educated craftsperson, which I essentially saw myself as, couldn't find appropriate value for my work, for the learning, the skill and more, then how could one put the onus of a crafting tradition on the shoulders of those who didn't have the same education and privileges that I did? This was the start of my journey as a textile artist craftsperson, to bring attention and value to notions of handcrafting through my writing, through my art, and bringing my work into the art gallery space. I was also not finding creative fulfillment in the design profession arena, and all this led to becoming an artist craftsperson, to realize what it means to be a craftsperson, where rhythm is significant, the repetitive movements, whether knitting needles, crochet hooks, and thread, or sewing needle and thread with fabric. The movements are repetitive, and this creates rhythm that calms the mind, that centers and grounds in yourself. As Jocelyn so evocatively wrote, rhythm is central to being, but the act of breathing, inhaling and exhaling is the very essence of life, along with the rhythmic beat of our heart. These rhythms are multiplied in the entire functioning of our body, which in turn is linked with the diurnal rhythm, placing man in contact with nature and with the overall environment. It is thus natural that the weaving of cloth, even stamping, embroidering, stitching have rhythms which are as important in the act of creation as is the mastrium technique. In fact, that rhythm can only be maintained and contained by a master.
Ms. Kopika?
My work has developed, yes?
You still have 5 minutes?
Okay, I might take a little bit longer. My work has developed over the years to embody the more spiritual precepts of the ancient world, where crafting, making with my hands, allowing the repetitive rhythms to soothe, to calm and order the mind with this meditative process. It is a reflection of the self. I use photography, embroidery, crochet, knitting, and found objects and fibers as well. Although I grew up in India, I was fortunate to study in London, and have also been influenced by the arts and crafts movement and the writings of William Morris, as also the Bauhaus and artists such as Anne Albers, Sheila Hicks, and many other vibrant artists across the world. While India has a living handcrafting tradition that produces fabric for fashion, the Western world was unable to sustain the ideals of handcrafting because of the fundamental disconnection with the capitalistic marketplace. And the handcrafting in India faces the same issues, where no arts and craft project was financially viable for long unless it transgressed the principles of the movement but resorting to cheap labor or mass production. Now, with labor that is cheap, that is time-consuming, you cannot do mass production. In many ways, the present trend in the Indian crafting sector, where fabric is not produced at leisure but on demand for fashion and other articles, there's pressure, there is less time to contemplate, and there's a certain restiveness among those that continue to apply their craft because of this tendency to idealize the crafting process, yet expect cheap fabric, with a value that is not commensurate with economic criteria to sustain a decent livelihood. In the villages of India, particularly in the tribal belt of Bastar, I observed that the fabric which was originally woven for the tribals and local population was no longer something they chose to wear for daily use. They preferred the mill-made polyester that was cheap, easily available, and easy to maintain, wash and wear. In that sense, traditional textiles have outgrown their original necessities, as also the currency they found in earlier trade routes, where Indian fabric, especially block printed and ikat, were the currency to buy spices from Malaysia and from Indonesia and the Malay archipelago, which you're probably familiar with. Whatever ideals have fueled, Whatever ideals have fueled the revival of craft in all countries, handcrafting allows us to think in different ways, providing a framework for reflection and critique of other ways of producing and making, or ways of living that are in opposition to the crafting modus. Craft is a slow process. It is also an ancient one that has endured the rigors of time and technology. It has a lot to teach us about the enduring values of making by hand, about the hand itself. In Aristotle's view, man has hands because he is the most intelligent. He believed that in order to realize the master plan in which our role was to be the dominant, most intelligent species, nature endowed us with hands. He said, where the head exists for the sake of the brain, the neck for the sake of the windpipe, and the hands for the sake of intelligence, of thinking, signifiers of human exceptionality in the natural world. Hands are by far the most dexterous parts of our body. It is a variety of muscle contractions manifest as movement of the hand. If you observe the video, you might be able to see all this. 6 long flexor muscles originate in the forearm with tendon attachments in the hand. These long flexor muscles either flex the fingers or the hand at the wrist joint. It is the long flexor muscles which contract and manifest friction in the hand. It has been said, if the hand is the quintessential instrument and the muscles are the instruments of voluntary motion, the muscles of the hand are deemed to be the incarnation of human agency and represent the very mechanism of culture by which our species, by divine decree, achieve dominion over all the others. In the 2nd century BCE, Roman orators paid attention to how they moved their hands as much as they did with their words. Gestures of the hand were given a great deal of importance in communication. The display of their fingers and angle of the hand, all carefully planned. Working with our hands keeps us grounded in practical, straightforward, earthly reality. This also strengthens hand and eye coordination and cultivates the development of fine motor skills, all of which are an asset in living and go a long way to prevent the delay and onset of diseases such as ALS, Alzheimer, dementia, and others. Working with the hands, making with the hand, using the repetitive motions of fabric and needle and thread. Allow the craftsperson to observe themselves. This enables a healthy mind, wherein the observations allow the mind to rationalize, to clarify feelings and thoughts, and live a healthier and more authentic life. As an artist craftsperson, this is my personal experience. I just want to show you a few slides before I finish. This is the work of Rahul Jain. We had seen his work earlier. Reinventing a range of luxury fabrics that were manufactured in the beginning of the first millennium using various weaving techniques, which represent silks that were woven for 2000 years ago at the classical weaving centers of the old Silk Road. It was this workshop was an academic exercise for his master's degree in weaving, but he continued with the groups of weavers he had retrained to reinvent, not revive, textiles that had been crafted to the point of extinction. These fabrics there are no samples of them. They were not made to be sold or to be used. They were made as gifts, and therefore there are no samples. And so he used these Mughal miniatures and other such illuminated manuscripts to draw these motifs. These textiles are woven upside down. You don't see it for 3 months until the fabric comes off the loom. And that is particularly significant, that your own labor, whatever mistakes you make, so you can understand the kind of excellence that is required to make these kind of fabrics. During the pandemic, adjusting to the new normal, Baba rediscovered a long-lost love, the notes and worksheets from a workshop he attended in 2008 called the Dye Garden. Indigo and chintz had been of interest to him, and the workshop was an introduction to the old practices of painting the cloth with moderns and natural dyes, as you saw that Renuka Reddy did in the earlier slide. He said the mentor's easy chemistry and matter-of-fact way of demystifying the natural dyes made it look easy, but when he started practicing, he realized just how tricky and difficult they were. He says, the most daunting task was keeping the colors intact on the cloth and acquiring the desired depth, intensity, and shade. Maybe this was why ritualistic pujas were performed to appease the dye gods. Nothing came to help here. I was interacting with foreign raw materials, the water, the climate, the heat, everything, the heat source, the pots and pans, everything was foreign. Bizarre instruments down to the fraction, I don't know how many decibels, it was just not real. He goes on to say that what sets apart chintz from other forms of painting is that natural dyes are not direct dyes that one can paint with. You don't see any color while painting. You are painting with a transparent white organic salt solution called mordant, which attracts and fixes the dye molecules in the dye bath. It is an immersive dyeing technique. So what he is painting is just the mordant. He is not able to even see what he is doing. So look at the skill that requires, like the painting of the weaving of the fabrics upside down. Echoing the complexities that Bappa encountered, Jocelyn Rhodes writes about dyeing in the ancient world before the advent of the chemical dyes. The art of dyeing has always been linked with alchemy, with magic, with transformation, with the mystery of the unknown. The dyer was an alchemist who collected herbs, roots, scales of insects, natural minerals, and used these to transform plain cloths of cotton or wool into silk of myriad hues. And this is my last slide. Kutch evokes images of a romanticized, stark and parched ochre landscape, replete with circular mud bungas with their conical thatched roofs, camels and buffaloes, and colorfully embellished fabrics. In this corner of the Indian subcontinent, it was nomads, the Rabari community, who envisioned dreams and desires for lushly embroidered goods to compensate the arid landscape. And through those like Vankar Shamji Vishram continue to do so, changing with the trends of design and color to provide for the global village more successfully than any other craftsman I have met. I have always held that the great crafting tradition of this country arose not only through enlightened patronage, but because of the ingenuity and passion of the maker. I have noted again and again that commerce alone, no matter how lucrative and well paid, doesn't necessarily lead to excellence. But personalized involvement of the artisan can create magic such that is otherwise unimaginable. The Vankars, meaning weaving community, believe that a tradition will be lost, a new way of life will evolve, and this has become a verifiable living and learned reality for Vankar and his family. The way in which the pattern and colors are integrated mark an evolution that is evidently personal. This is Vankar Shamji. The mark of an authentic hand, the sensibility of man rooted in his culture yet willing to embrace change. His passion, the commitment and dedication to a slow process where smell and taste define the readiness of the indigo vat, which you see here. And other such subtle and delicate nuances which are integral to dyeing, and also the labor of the loom, which is no less arduous, are all visible in the fragrance of freshly carded wool, sleeping cattle, cow dung, charkha and pitloom that surround the home atelier of Shamji and his family.
Ms. Kopika?
Yeah, I would like to leave you with this slide because, as I mentioned at the very outset of this talk, craft is not just a modus of production. Craft is about creating fabric. It is not just about creating fabric for garments. Craft is not just about skill and techniques. It is not just about working with the hand.
Ms. Kopika?
It is about all of these, and most importantly, a way of life. I just have 1 minute left.
Okay, then.
One that is not anachronistic, but one that has changed and molded itself to modern ways. And Vankam Shamji and his family have done just this, epitomizing the way forward, embracing the life and culture of handcrafting by adapting it to modern tastes and trends, without foregoing cultural practices or region. Making a traditional way of life and handcrafting adapted to the contemporary world by choosing to make it a way of life within its ambit. No matter how much the rest of us do in order to create awareness, give them business of working, or create awareness of working with the hand, make clothes out of the fabric they make, to preserve and reinvent lost traditions of patterning and making cloth. It is the rural craftsmen who make the fabric for the fashion industry that must choose to continue with the traditions of crafting inherited by his forefathers, and that means embracing the way of life, such as Vankar Shamji and his family are doing. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of Ms. Kopika's presentation. Please, a big round of applause for her rich presentation. Thank you. Okay, since we now only have like 10 minutes more, let's go to the question and answer session. Because actually when we had the technical problem, we already have one questioner. So now I would like to let Mr. Philip to continue his explanation.
Okay, let me finish the answer. Ya, intinya begini, artware itu akan dipakai untuk siapa? Ya, itu. Mau hanya untuk pajangan di museum? Oke, fine, nggak masalah. Artinya kamu bisa bebas bereksplorasi mau seperti apa, tanpa mengindahkan, tanpa memikirkan estetika dan comfort. Ya, keindahan dan kenyamanan itu diabaikan. Kalau itu hanya mau dipajang. Tetapi kalau artware itu mau dipakai untuk artis, untuk penyanyi, untuk perform, tetap harus dipikirkan sisi estetika dan comfort. Jangan sampai pada saat perform yang memakai baju tersebut menjadi susah, sulit dipakai, malah menimbulkan kecelakaan. Misalnya kebanyakan peniti di bagian leher, penitinya kena leher, atau untuk jalan sulit. Itu jangan sampai. Itu ya. Paham sampai di sini? Ya, terima kasih.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Now I will open the next opportunity for one questioner. Both online and offline participant, you are allowed to ask questions. Anyone? Yes. Please say your name and then tell us to whom your question is.
Halo, nama aku Lia. Menyambung pertanyaan dari Elsa tadi untuk Pak Philips. Hardware itu bisa nggak Pak wearable gitu, dijadiin pakaian wearable? Kalau misalnya bisa, apakah itu akan menurunkan karakter dari si hardware itu tadi, yang kita tahu hardware sendiri itu nggak wearable dan lebih ke unik, artistik, yang mementingkan estetika. Kalau misalnya bisa dijadiin busana wearable, apakah si busana art tadi itu masih bisa disebut art atau udah beda pemaknaan, bukan pemaknaan ya apa? Beda, bukan artwear lagi gitu, udah beda busana gitu. Terus kayak Bapak bilang tadi, bajunya teman-teman itu belum wearable. Kalau wearable menurut Bapak sendiri itu bagaimana? Apakah wearable dalam artian bisa diterima atau dipakai oleh masyarakat umum atau seperti apa? Terima kasih.
Oke, terima kasih. Langsung aja ya, menyambung yang tadi, hardware itu tujuannya dulu, mau dipakai oleh siapa, untuk apa. Hardware mau dipakai untuk perform, artinya dipakai oleh manusia, atau hanya dipajang di museum. Kalau hardware ini akan dipakai untuk perform, seorang penyanyi, seorang artis, atau apapun, itu mesti dipikirkan dari segi estetik dan comfort. Itu kunci utama orang memakai baju. Ya, orang memakai baju jangan sampai susah, nggak bisa jalan, nggak bisa duduk, dan seterusnya. Itu jangan sampai. Jadi ini adalah tugas kita semua, tugas kalian semua, bagaimana mengolah hardware untuk menjadi hardware yang berestetika, keren, ya, bagus, dan unik. Tetapi dari sisi comfortnya juga harus dipikirkan. Coba pernah dengar namanya Montana, Jean Paul Gaultier, terus ada juga Hussein Kalayan, ada John Galliano. Itu mereka meng-create busana hardware yang ada sisi estetiknya, sisi kenyamanannya, sisi bagus kerennya ada. Ya, Hussein Kalayan itu bikin baju hardware dari kayu. Pada saat model itu duduk jadi meja. Tapi pada saat jalan runway itu jadi rok, ball gown. Keren banget. Montana sama. Jadi searching, coba ya searching. Ya, ya, Martin Margiela, ada juga Rei Kawakubo. Ya, itu favorit saya, Rei Kawakubo. Ya, itu keren banget. Ya, Maison Martin Margiela itu juga itu banyak create baju-baju hardware. Ya, itu jadi tetap harus difungsikan ya, estetika dan comfort, dan harus menjadi yang paling penting adalah tujuannya create ini untuk apa. Terus yang tadi diperagakan tadi itu misalnya ya, buat apa tile di tangan sampai 2 meter? Fungsinya buat apa? Itu yang saya maksud dengan wearable ya. Mosok mau jagong manten di Sentolo Kulon Progo pakai tile di tangan yang panjangnya 2 meter, nanti apa nyangkut-nyangkut bambu-bambu dong gitu loh ya. Keindahan, estetik, dan keren itu tidak harus buntutnya panjang ya. Dengan simple pun, makanya tadi di akhir saya menyampaikan materi least is best. Ini sulit sekali menerapkan yang istilahnya least is best. Kalau belum expert, belum pengalaman bikin baju-baju yang heboh-heboh, nggak usah bikin. bikin yang simple, keren, tapi high quality, quality yang tinggi, kualitas yang bagus, yaitu jahitannya bagus. Tahu teknik jahit, misalnya bikin keliman. Tahu artinya keliman? Ya, keliman itu kampuh bahasa Jawanya. Lipatan di bawah. Mosok circle atau setengah lingkaran, kelimannya 2 cm, muntir semua. Itu maksimal setengah senti, maksimal. Kalau bisa kurang dari setengah senti, itu baru keren. Itu. Jadi itu ya, terapkan least is best. Walaupun itu artware, tapi least is best. Contohnya yang dipakai Madonna, itu karyanya siapa? Jean-Paul Gaultier, keren banget. Ya, sampai melegenda, itu artware, searching nanti, ya. Oke.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Anyone? Yes.
Buat Miss Kopika, namun ditranslatein ya Bu Wit. Baik, yang ingin saya tanyakan bagaimana eksistensi lokal fabric dalam perkembangan fashion di India. Mungkin itu saja. Terima kasih.
Miss Kopika,
Yeah.
this question is for you. Basically, she's asking about how the existence of local fabric in the development of fashion industry in India.
I didn't understand the question.
Even though you live in Malaysia, I hope you also follow Indian fashion industry development.
I live in India.
Oh, you live in India.
Yes.
Oh, friend.
I live in Goa in India. Yes.
Okay, please.
I didn't understand the question. Hello?
Yeah, the question is how maybe I will paraphrase the question. Let me put it this way. In the development of fashion industry in India, is local fabric still play a very important role?
I showed you numerous slides of many designers who use the fabric, which I mean, it is still marginalized. It is not, you cannot mass produce fabrics on that level. So it is more for the niche market, but it is still very much used. I showed you many people who've done that. Did you not, you missed those slides? Would you like me to show those slides again briefly? Hello?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I think the time is not enough for you
Okay.
to. Yeah.
I'll just quickly show her a couple of slides so that because it's very much there in the presentation.
Okay then.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, it's gone back. One second. This is, I'm not technically so good. Oh, can you see the slides? It's only showing me this. Arey. Okay.
It's
Yes,
okay.
one second. No, I'll just here. Okay, I got one slide. So you see this? These are all that is being done by contemporary fashion designers. Also this. Also this. Are you able to see the slides? Are you able to see the slides? Hello? Were you able to see the slides?
Sorry, my microphone.
Okay. Were you able to see the slides?
Yes. We did see.
See, I showed you a number of designers who've a small selection actually, who work with with local fabric. But my contention is that even though they're doing it, how integrated is it? Given the crafting tradition, given the way crafting is, are we making them all just manual labor, or are we sort of integrating the process? That is my concern.
Okay. In India, is local fabric is still produced in mass way?
I wouldn't say it's mass way.
Okay.
But handcrafting can never be produced in mass way. Is the fabric mass produced in Indonesia, in Bali,
Not really.
yeah. So batik and ikat, they can't be mass produced, right?
Yeah. Even
The same is true. The same is true for crafting in India.
Okay.
There's never mass production. If
Okay.
you give into mass production and you make it cheap and you integrate, some people integrate technology, some work is done, simple work is done on the power looms, but that's not handcrafting. And with things like with the painting, like I mentioned to you, hand painting, the modern painting on fabric, those very expensive fabrics on the draw loom thing, or even bandhani, all this has to be done by hand. Machines cannot do it. Bandhani is the tie and dye with the you tie little grains of rice into it.
Yeah. Same thing happened in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I still have few minutes, and I will give one question. I will give one more opportunity. One question. Yes, Chacha, please.
Hello, Miss Gopika.
Yes.
I have like one question. First, I really appreciate all the slides that you talk the more philosophical value behind your presentation a while ago, just like the saying from Jaslyn Damija and
Yes.
all. And that got me thinking, how do you apply the philosophical value behind the pattern, the technique into your work? Thank you.
There is no philosophical pattern that comes when you're doing the slide I showed you of the hands. Those are my hands, and I slowed down movements for you to see. It is a repetitive pattern. So if I'm doing crochet, I'm doing the hook like this. If I'm knitting, I'm doing this. If I'm doing embroidery, then it is a repetitive motion. For every stitch, to fill up a certain space, you need to use the hand again and again in a certain way. So when you do that, the reason I told you about the hand and the mind-body connection and how the rhythm soothes the body. So anything you do rhythmically, even if you're running on the treadmill for that matter, but that's a different kind of energy. You slow down. You have to slow down. When you slow down, your thoughts keep coming up. You observe your thoughts. You become more grounded in yourself, who you are, what you need, what you feel, and your life becomes simpler. Because you realize I cannot do so much. No matter how much ambition I have, no matter how many ideas I can think, the mind runs ahead of us. But when you slow down and you have to use your hand to work, if you were to write instead of using the computer, you would write far less. So the same thing happens when you're working with, there's a rhythm, and that rhythm helps you connect with that philosophy. That philosophy didn't arise from some theoretical precept. It came from practice. And it's the same practice that I align myself with. And what comes out in my creative work is what I'm feeling at that point in time. I'm able to express myself freely through the thread, through the embroidery, through the knitting, through the crochet. And I have at my disposal all these techniques which I've cultivated over the years to use as and when I need. Does that make any sense?
Yes, actually. So your explanation is actually really reminded me of the technique in making batik. So in a way, even though we are far geographically, but then like it really makes sense that it's how the technique is very connected. Thank you so much, Ms. Gopika.
Okay, thank you for that very thoughtful question. All right, participant, I will end this program by giving myself ask question to both speaker. So this question is for Ms. Kopika and also Pak Philip. We're talking about locality here. what what in my mind is how we can measure that something can be claimed that it is local. What is the measurement of locality? Should it be geographical, philosophical, physical, or any other? Okay, please Pak Philip.
Mungkin bisa diulang pakai bahasa Indonesia biar audiensnya
oke.
di sini paham
Ya.
juga.
Karena kita hari ini membahas masalah lokalitas.
Ya.
Sebetulnya penasaran saya itu sudah sejak dari kemarin-kemarin ketika membaca TOR ya. Sebetulnya lokalitas itu kemudian ukurannya apa gitu. Sesuatu bisa dibilang oh ini lokal, itu internasional, itu global. Ukurannya apa? Apakah secara filosofi, geografi atau apa?
Ya, oke, terima kasih. Lokal itu bukan berarti tidak keren. Ya, intinya lokal ini kita jadikan sebagai inspirasi. Ya, inspirasi yang seperti apa? Tentunya banyak mengandung. Ya, di situ ada yang namanya inspirasi. Di situ ada yang namanya filosofi, di situ ada yang namanya modernisasi atau modern. Jadi, kalaupun inspirasi kita ambil dengan environment atau kekayaan lokal, bukan berarti kekunoan, ya. Jadi intinya bahwa kita nggak usah jauh-jauh ke luar negeri, tetapi kita bisa mengambil inspirasi ini ke lokalan. Saya pernah bikin koleksi buruh gendong. Koleksi saya, inspirasinya buruh gendong. Lokal hero, ya. Nggak usah Diponegoro, nggak usah Pangeran Jenderal Sudirman, nggak usah siapa, tetapi lokal hero. Jadi kekuatan perempuan yang ada di dalam lokal hero buruh gendong ini apa? Yaitu kegigihan. Jadi baju yang keluar adalah baju-baju tailoring, baju-baju yang lebih maskulin, yang memakai bahan-bahan misalnya lurik gendong yang biasanya balgi nggak nyaman dipakai, itu saya olah ulang, saya proses ulang, direndam pakai chemical khusus sehingga tampilan luarnya itu pakai lurik gendong, tetapi kalau dipakai nyaman karena pakai sistem layering atau pakai sistem furing, yang furingnya lebih mahal daripada lurik gendongnya. Katunnya harganya 75.000 per meter, lurik gendongnya 3 meter cuma 40.000, ya kan? Jadi ini trik, ini adalah siasat kita bagaimana environment lokal ini, inspirasi lokal ini kita jadikan menjadi go global, internasional. Jadi dua-duanya ya Mbak ya, baik itu filosofinya, baik itu idenya, baik itu inspirasinya. Jadi nggak hanya sebatas filosofi, tetapi filosofi yang kita perdalam lagi menjadi sebuah inspirasi kelokalan tadi yang modern, kekinian, urban, go global. Ya.
Okay. Ms. Kopika, now.
Well, I think locality, if its precise definition is taken, it means an area, geographically, neighborhood, any of these regions. So I would take the meaning, I would take locality in terms of fashion, in terms of, you see, you use the word crafting. So crafting fashion for me means crafting the fabric for fashion, which would mean work that is done locally in India within the geographical space. And that naturally implies the philosophy that comes with it, but not, that doesn't highlight, it's not the highlight. The highlight would be the fabric that is locally produced. When we say crafting, especially within the Indian context, one thinks of handcrafting. But it could be fabric that is generally made in India. But when we talk about defining locality, then the handcrafting of a region defines its locality more than what the machine can make.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanation. Ladies and gentlemen, participants, this is the real end of this sharing session we have today. Please help me to appreciate the two presenters by give a big round of applause. Thank you very much, Ms. Kopika. Terima kasih banyak, Bapak Philip. Uh, Mungkin yang terakhir, see you in the next year International Craft Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Once again, we would like to say thank you to Buit as a moderator, Pak Philip, and Miss Gopika for the insightful session.
We also have a participation link which all participants has to submit for getting a certification. So everyone who's being with us through Zoom or at IGSA, please everyone fill the link, the participation link. So don't forget about that. So while we are waiting for filling the participation link, I would like to give the time and place to Miss Alfie to say a few words to Miss Gopika.
So, Gopika, are you still there? Oh, oh ya sudah. Kalau sudah live ya sudah. Karena saya mau greetings dia, karena kan saya yang kontak, tapi ya sudah. Oke, it's too late. Nggak usah. Oke.
Sekali lagi bagi para partisipan, baik yang di Ajiasa maupun yang di Zoom, jangan lupa untuk mengisi link partisipasinya agar nanti bisa dikirimkan langsung sertifikat keikutsertaan. Well, it was such an inspiring session we have today. So this memorable event is need to be remembered. So we would like to invite everyone to get ready for photo session first before we closing International Fashion Day. So everyone in Zoom may please open the camera so we can take picture together, and everyone in Ajiasa can come to the front so we all can take pictures together. Let's go. Bagi partisipan yang ada di Zoom, boleh dibuka kameranya untuk sesi foto bersama. Dan bagi teman-teman yang ada di Ajiasa, bisa maju ke depan untuk foto bersama. Sembari bersiap, sekali lagi saya mengingatkan untuk mengisi link presensinya.
Cek.
Aku pakai ini, terus kita sembarang ini. Tapi abis foto ini, kita Aku tutup dulu ya. This is the last part of the third year International Fashion Day. Thanks 1,000 times for all guest moderator and all participants for
Mengapa rasa anchor begitu
cooperation
lezat?
in today's
Karena
event.
kebaikan dari New Zealand
We are looking
daripada rumput
forward to see
hijau
you
dan
all
sapi-sapi
again
yang memakan
in the
rumput
next-
alami
for the next
menghasilkan susu
International
berkualitas yang
Fashion
diolah
Day.
menjadi produk
Thank you,
yang lezat.
everyone.
Anchor, kebaikan dari New Zealand.
I look in the mirror, who's looking back at me? I don't know what happened, guess we weren't meant to be. I know we had problems, I thought we could fix them, but we got tired. There's nothing left to do but to say goodbye and try to move on. I'll get over you, only wish that I knew how to go on. Baby, you and me, we're so messed up together. Even if we tried, we'd be stuck here forever. I don't understand right now how to make it through, but I'll get over you. And it's not like I'm gonna hate you. It's what it is, nothing left that we could do. Even though it hurts right now, we will make it through. I'll get over you. I'll get over you. Back when I met you, we were like fireworks. Thought nothing could break us, but oh how we got burned. Look at us now, we scream, we fight, and no one knows the reason. We're both getting out of line. Now say goodbye and try to move on. I'll get over you, only wish that I knew how